Today is part 3 of utilizing the Enneagram to understand yourself and others. And if you didn't catch part 1 or 2, make sure to go back and get caught up.
Before we get into today's podcast, will you do us a favor? There are so many pastors, church leaders, and volunteers in small towns that truly want to see supernatural growth. They want to reach as many people for Jesus in their communities as possible, just like we do. You can help do this by simply sharing today's podcast. You can rate and review it. That'll also help get the content out to more people.
Welcome to the Small Town Big Church Leadership Podcast, a place for pastors, church leaders, and volunteers to grow themselves and the local church. We're pastors Brad and Misty Hilton, church planters in rural America. Okay, so let's start with a refresher. The Enneagram teaches that there are 9 different personality styles.
Or ways of seeing the world.
That's right.
Right?
This is 9 different ways of thinking,
Yep.
if you will. And so one of which we naturally gravitate towards and adopt from childhood to cope and to feel safe.
Right.
So each type or number has a very unique way of seeing the world and underlying motivation that powerfully influences how that type thinks, all right, feels, behaves. So in today's podcast, we're going to just barely scratch the surface on Enneagram type 4.
The type 4 is known as the romantic of the Enneagram, better known as the individualist. So kind of to give you like an overview of this person, 4s maintain their identity by seeing themselves as fundamentally different from others. 4s feel that they are unlike other human beings, and consequently, that no one really fully understands them or even loves them adequately. They often see themselves as uniquely talented, and I will say, like, all the 4s I know, highly creative people, all right? They possess, like, this special, one-of-a-kind gift, but also they can kind of uniquely be disadvantaged or flawed. They feel like they never quite measure up to other people around them.
And I'll say much of what we're sharing today, a lot of it, not verbatim, but pretty close to coming right out of Ian Cron's book, The Road Back to You. So this is really good stuff. Let's talk about some strengths. Ability to connect deeply with their own emotions, right?
Right. They're very emotional.
They're very emotional.
Right.
Their sensitivity to
They
understanding.
might not like being said that they're emotional, but they're very much in tune with their emotions.
Right. They're sensitive to understanding other people's feelings. They have a general awareness of their own growth areas, okay? Imaginative, creative, deep thinking, being consistently and authentically themselves, true to themselves. All right, let's talk about healthy 4s for a second. They have a considerable emotional range.
Right.
And they manage it by not speaking or acting on every feeling that they have. They know that they don't have to be special to win God's unconditional love.
Yeah.
We're talking healthy 4s here, right? Not the unhealthy, but the healthy. And they're deeply creative, emotionally honest, and connected, and very attuned to beauty.
Yeah.
That sounds very poetic. It does, doesn't it? Very creative, just like their personalities.
Right.
Average 4s, on the other hand, they struggle daily with learning to accept themselves as they truly are. Such efforts for them are complicated as they seek their identity by exaggerating their uniqueness. These 4s are coy. They want you to want them, but they play hard to get. I love this. I see this in 4s that I know.
Yes.
Their melancholy often goes unchecked, causing painful distance between themselves and others. Average 4s, get this, they're moody, melodramatic.
So this is like not a healthy 4, but
needy,
just an average 4.
and self-pitying. All right, let's talk about unhealthy 4s.
Okay. So unhealthy 4s tend to be manipulative. They like to play the role of the victim in order to create or maintain relationships. And they find themselves lacking when compared to others. They also will have the tendency to envy other people and not like to be jealous of what somebody has, but more to envy the fact
From
that
a comparative standpoint.
yes, that people have something that they don't have. It's like they feel like there's just something missing about them. They're always searching for it.
Incompleteness.
And yes, there's an incompleteness. And they envy people who seem to have that fulfillment, that completeness, if you will.
It's just not fair.
So what's interesting is 4s, they say that there are less 4s in the world than any other number.
Which I think is great for them because they want to be unique.
Exactly.
So
that's
there
actually
you go. Good
interesting.
job, 4s.
So some people, you may think to yourself, like, I'm not sure if I know a 4. Well, it just so happens to be that our videographer, who's on the other side of the camera,
who's with us every episode.
Right?
You just never see her.
You don't see her
she's
face.
She's always with us.
She is a 4.
She is.
She also happens to be our daughter-in-law. So we're going to invite Miss Lainey to join us, and we're going to kind of talk about what it's like to see the world from Lainey's perspective.
Lainey
as
Jordan
a 4.
Hilton in the house.
Okay, so Lainey, it's awesome to have you on the other side of the camera today. This is awesome. All right, so as we've been talking about the Enneagram the last few weeks, we've had fun just talking to you off camera about how you see the world.
Yeah.
Because you are a 4.
Yeah.
Right? And you are a daughter-in-law, so it's been interesting as you merged into our family.
Yeah.
Just knowing that you're creative, which I think we kind of mentioned that in the beginning as an overview. The one thing, if I could change the name of the type 4, I generally just call them creatives.
Yeah.
Because in the space of the world that I see 4s the most, it's like in things like video and music and art. Like that is where they dominate that space.
Yeah.
And you kind of, I see it in that they want to be uniquely different and an individualist. But like, when did you, like, looking back over your life, do you see a point when you started to realize, like, you did see the world different than, like, maybe others in your family? Is anybody else a 4 in your family?
Nobody else is a 4. So it was a big conflict because my brother is probably a 9.
Okay.
My sister's a 7.
Oh, yeah.
My mom is an 8, and my dad is probably a 3. But everyone is very easygoing.
Right.
Not necessarily easygoing, but, like, in a good mood a lot of the time.
Yeah,
so
happy-go-lucky, kind of?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
So I was definitely set apart in that way.
Probably all healthy versions of their personality
yes.
types.
Yeah, for sure.
Great family.
And growing up, I had not learned how to be healthy.
Sure.
And moodiness was my biggest thing. Actually, my siblings, my nickname was the Hulk because
I've never heard that.
Wow.
I would lose it. Like they would,
Hulk smash.
we would roughhouse and stuff, and I would just get fed up, and I would get so mad because I was more sensitive than they were.
Dynamite.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they called me the Hulk, and now I do not get that name, which is good. So as a teenager, as like a preteen and an early teen, I was dealing with moodiness a lot and just being like, why do I have to be
like, do I have to be happy?
So my dad started to battle me on that a lot. And my dad is very, very kind, very, very positive.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I would just be like, I'm not like you. Like, why do I have to be happy? Like, why do I have to fake it? Like,
right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so.
Because you wanted to be yourself as an individualist. You wanted to be who you were and not. I can see that. If I want to be sad, why can't I just sit in my sadness?
For sure. And actually, when my mom found the Enneagram, she was telling me what she thought I was.
Right.
And I hated it at first because I was like, that is so dumb. Why does anyone have a number? Like, I wanted to be different. Almost like,
I don't even have a number.
Yeah,
I'm so
almost
unique.
like,
I can see that.
You're a 4. You want to be unique. So anyway, I can definitely see it now, and I definitely relate more to the wing 3. Because I didn't really struggle a lot with melancholy, but moody, I guess I do struggle with melancholy, actually, but I didn't think I did. So anyway, my dad really did a good job of, like, showing me that it was okay to be different, but it wasn't okay for it to take control over me. And
you know, when you think about the unhealthy version of a 4, I can see how the emotions and the explosions and the being moody is not something that you want to have in all your relationships.
Yeah,
But on the
for
healthy side, you obviously still feel those things,
Yeah.
but you learn how to control them.
Yeah, so I
that
had
you're
this
not
strong
blowing it.
desire to not want to be that way. I wanted to be like my family. I wanted to be like my sister, who's a 7, who was so fun to be
Happy.
around all the time.
Yeah.
Happy's
I
your go-to.
wanted to be that way, but
Yeah.
like I just had to fake it.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
my dad would tell me, we would have arguments, and I'd be like, "Why do I have to smile all the time?" And he's like, "It's okay. It's not okay for it to affect the other people in your life, and it's not okay to make everybody else's day miserable."
That's good.
And that is so has like changed everything for me, because then whenever I moved out, and when you're around your family, you really can just be whoever you want, and like
Right.
you're not afraid to be vulnerable with them.
You're just yourself. You're
Right.
the raw, transparent version.
But when I got jobs and I started meeting new people, it was like I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want them to see that side of me. And I really realized that like it is not okay to let your mood affect those around you.
So
And,
do,
like,
do you feel like
Yeah.
you have a tendency then to pull people into your emotions? Like if you feel a certain way, you feel like they should feel that way with you?
yeah, I definitely have a strong sense of needing to be understood.
Yeah.
Like I need you to understand, and I want to like explain it.
So like, will
in
you
depth,
beat a dead horse to explain
why
this
I feel
is
the way
this
I
is
do?
the way I feel?
Yes.
And I want you to really understand where I'm
Yes.
coming from,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to stop until I feel like
Yes.
You understand.
you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. We have a friend who has a daughter who is a 4 probably, and they're dealing with a lot of hard things with her that I didn't struggle with as intensely, but my mom and her mom have related on like parenting, because she's a lot like me. She is moody. She's like, just let me feel however I want to feel.
Right.
I've actually got to talk to her about it and explain to her that like we are different and it is okay, but like we have to be a light even when we don't want to be, and like
Yeah.
we can't drag other people into that. It's miserable for other people to be around,
Right.
and that's been the biggest thing for me. Like I don't want to give into that, because nobody wants to be around somebody
Yeah.
That's good.
So what about? Oh, hold on. Let me ask, and then you can jump in. So like, a lot of times 4s like to watch like sad movies, or like, you know,
I know
like
this
for
is true.
myself.
Because we've talked to her, and like some of her favorite movies, she's like, and I would just cry and cry
Right.
and cry.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you want to watch a movie
Yeah.
that you know
Yeah.
you can...
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, like, so for myself, which I'm a 3. Like, I don't really like a sad, sappy
Yeah.
movie. Like, I never wanted to cry. Like, if I ever had a tear, I'd be like, don't anybody see that, because I
Yeah.
feel like I'm weak.
Yeah.
But like for a 4, I tend to see 4s in my life.
Yeah.
Who like I'll walk in, because there's another one in our family, and I'll walk in and I'll see him
Yeah.
watching the saddest movies on
Yes.
the planet, and I'm like,
dude,
I am
that's
totally not watching
depressing.
that. So
Yeah.
is that you?
Yes, for sure. I don't know, something about feeling something. Like even when I would go
Those
through a hard
deep
time,
emotions.
I would, in this, I'm not saying this is good, but like I would listen to sad music in
Yeah.
my car. Like
Okay.
I wanted to embrace it. And that's not exactly healthy.
Yeah.
I had to find a balance in that, because
Right.
now I pretty much only listen to worship music, and that is huge.
So that's really good advice, because you felt drawn to
can't
listen to
feed
the
it.
sad stuff.
Oh, and this
but you would
girl-
be feeding it.
This girl that I've kind of been trying to help,
Right.
she has fallen into that, and in today, she's young, and in today's culture, it's very normal. Like all the really sad shows, and like it's really normal to just be like, tell us how you feel, like really like wear it on your sleeve,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And like it's making it worse. Like to go hide in your room and to
Right.
watch sad movies,
Right.
listen to like
Right.
just depressing things.
Yeah.
It feeds it, and you have to draw a line and
Yeah.
be like, I'm
That's
not
good.
gonna feed it.
We say
Yeah,
a lot
that's
that
a really good
isolation
advice.
leads to annihilation.
Yes,
Yeah.
So when
for
you
sure.
set yourself apart, you're going to get picked on.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
by
for
the enemy.
sure. One thing I just realized recently is that a hard transition for me was growing up. Everyone was like, she's so moody, like, and so whenever I would try to work on it, and somebody would say that about me,
It was like,
or like nicknames or
Yeah.
anything like that, I'd be like, never mind. Like
I'm not even gonna
that's
try.
that's just how you see me. So I would say
Yeah.
if you have a 4 in your life, and like I had to realize I can't tell everybody. I can't wear a shirt that says, "Don't criticize me. I'm sensitive."
Okay, because you don't like criticism,
yes,
right?
Forever
Yes.
to overcome
I can't wear a shirt. I had to
Yes.
be like, I'm going to choose to be in a good mood and do this and work on this no matter what anybody says.
Yeah, that's
but if
good.
you have a 4 in your life who you're like, I can't get through to them, or like they're just always this way, you have to speak life over them. And if they keep hearing you say, you're this way, you've always been this way, it's a major block in the road, and it makes you want to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, why do I even try? Because
Yeah. Well, and I think with any of the numbers, when you see the world from a different perspective, it would be easy to label. And we've honestly been guilty of that. I mean, like having 8s in our family, we have 2 of our kids that are challengers. And honestly, like we are guilty of, probably you more than me, being like, you little 8.
I think it's
As if it's a negative thing.
Yes.
And it's not
that
a
drives
negative.
me crazy personally. If somebody calls that out, I'm like, I'm done.
Right. And it's not a negative thing because God created each individual person and the way that we see the world, and He created us that way for a reason. I mean, like, I could not do what you do. Like, as a videographer, you take these beautiful stories and you bring them to life for everyone around you. And it's like, oh my gosh, the talent and the creativity that goes into that is totally God-given talent. It's amazing.
Thank you.
I could sit all day and I would be like questioning whether or not that worked there. I mean, it would take me forever, and I'm just blown away at the creativity of the 4s. And so, with any, there are strengths and there are pitfalls, but it's awesome that you have stepped into that healthy side, because honestly, from the time we've known you, I would never have thought your family called you the Hawk. I would never have called you
Which
moody.
is what brought a big switch, because when I was around people that weren't my family, I was like, I don't want to be perceived that way.
Yeah.
And I could really see value in what my dad said.
Put healthy pressure on you to work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so good. I love that. Well, thank you, Lainey,
You're
for
welcome.
coming on this side of the camera and letting us into your head and the way you see the world. I think it was very helpful.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. We've had such a great time digging into these different personality types. Can't wait till next time. Again, please share today's content. Let's get it out there and let's help as many people as we can to grow in their leadership and their volunteering within the local church. We will see you next time.